staking a claim to a Wembley goal along the way.
Oh, it's going to be the equaliser! Yes, by Graham!
As an Arsenal player, he strolled his way to a double and began an everlasting love affair with the club. As an Arsenal manager, he was a Wembley League Cup winner in his very first season. 2 dramatic league championships have followed, but in a management style that's been anything but dramatic. Cool and inscrutable, he's cast very much as the straight man.
I've never been the type of manager to blow my own trumpet or blow Arsenal's trumpet. Probably people think I'm a bit laid back or a bit aloof. I think there's 2 ways of managing, and there's 2 ways of your team winning things. Let the team do it and let them get the plaudits on the pitch, rather than sort of like doing, certain managers do it through the media. They're ideal for the media because they're good talkers. They like to have their own ego trip through the press and through the media. And there's other managers, like a famous northern club who've been at the top for 20 years. They let their team do the talking on the pitch, and they keep a very low profile in the background, and that's the way I like to do it, a nice professional manner.
You're coming up 7 years now in the job. Is there an optimum time that a manager can keep his authority, his enthusiasm at one club?
Well, there's a lot of theories in football that you know, that after a while the manager must go or the players must go. So I keep making sure that I'm going to turn over the players very quickly because I don't want to go. It's one of the best jobs in England, and I don't want to leave. I'm happy here. As long as we're successful, you know, I should be here. But as soon as we're unsuccessful over a number of years, then obviously it doesn't give me a license because of what I've done in the past to be the Arsenal for the foreseeable future.
Success this season would have been another Arsenal title. The Anti-Post tipsters forecast nothing less. Yet it's the cups that have given George a run for his money. Half of Ian Wright's 26 goals have come en route to the Coca-Cola final and the FA Cup semi. He represents his manager's most successful gamble and gives a lie to his reputation as the stern drill sergeant. Wright's talent was there for everyone to see, but not everyone could have harnessed it.
And you get somebody like Ian, who's actually a lovely lad off the pitch. He's got a great personality, very, very popular with all the players. And I think in the England squad he's ideal because in the dressing room he's really funny, lifts up everybody, and he's got this image on the pitch that he's on the borderline all the time.
He has strayed over that borderline from time to time. I think you've been quite fatherly in your management of him. Do you get particular satisfaction when you see him heading in the right direction as a person as well as a player?
Yeah, I think again that this image that I have of being a disciplinarian is, I think it's gone overboard. I think you've got to put on different caps to handle players, man management. Really, somebody like Ian, you've got to work with Ian during the week in training. If there is certain aspects of his game and his character you've got to work on, we work on them. I've had problems in the past, like with Tony Adams, with Paul Merson. It's no use just sort of getting the big stick out and just punishing them all the time. You've got to sort of chat to them and talk to them and try to put it right in the training ground and to grow not only as footballers but as individuals.
George Graham spent today sitting by the phone, hoping it wouldn't ring. The injury scare over Lee Dixon in Turkey only served to underline the helplessness of a club manager with key players away on international duty.
I mean, look at this week. I'm sitting here in lovely surroundings, should be working with my team, but here's, half a dozen of them are halfway around the world, and I won't see them until Thursday or Friday. I think this situation, and it's no good complaining about it now, I think it's got to be redressed in the summer when everybody sits around the table and say the semi-finals of the FA Cup, which is one of the biggest club competitions in the world, there's no way that it should be an international game at the other side of the world 3 days before the semi-finals of the FA Cup.
2 years ago, Arsenal had no such problems going into their Wembley semi with Spurs. George looked all set to double up again. His team were 8 points clear at the top. Terry Venables was the man with the problems until you-know-who came up with the solution.
Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, Oh, I say! Brilliant!
How many times have you watched that Gascoigne goal, or been made to watch it?
Actually, I watched it last week. Funny enough, I was sitting in the office and Terry Venables came in, and I couldn't believe it. He just knocked the door and came in, and here was I sitting watching the semi-final, and And Terry was, I don't know what Terry was thinking. He was thinking probably, how am I going to reverse that scoreline? But it was an outstanding goal. I think if Paul took that free kick another 100 times, we'd never score. It was just a goal out of this world, you know what I mean? But Terry and I have been great friends for Chelsea days, and I was 19, and we grew up together. We're supposed to be meeting up in the next couple of days for a couple of drinks. He's so busy now. Now he's, now he's part owner of the club. That it's hard to get an appointment with Terry. But we'll try to get together, I think, this week.
Have gone. So who will take the Wembley curtain calls this time?
I remember a couple of years ago I said I was born for them kind of occasions. You know, I just look forward to them. You know, it's a big game, and I do like the big games. You know, I like the atmosphere that they bring.
3 years ago, a lingering injury meant that Ian Wright had to come off the subs bench on the greatest day in Crystal Palace's history. But he certainly rose to that occasion.
Now here's Wright, his first chance to show what he can do. And he's through! It's Wright! Oh, what an impact by the substitute!
Having paid £2.5 million for this calibre of finishing, George Graham was quick to acknowledge that Crystal Palace had earned their fee.
To be fair, actually, I don't think I've contributed much to Ian. I've worked in these type of runs that he makes. But I think Stevie Coppell did a great job with Ian. He plucked him up from non-league football. He saw a little uncut diamond there, and I think probably at Crystal Palace, Stevie polished it up a little bit. And I think coming to a bigger stage, and that's not to be detrimental to Crystal Palace, I think he's come, to Arsenal, who's expected to win championships and cups. And I think he just carried on and even maybe improved from his Palace days, because his goal-scoring record at Arsenal is fantastic.
52 in 71 games, including 8 in this season's FA Cup, where he scored in every round.
Now can Wright cash in? It's a beautiful chip! Yes, he can! Ian Wright, left foot! It's in! Oh, and the header through by Selly has found Wright. He's got away from Tyler. Fabulous finish. And this time he scores his 50th goal for Arsenal.
So will it be Wright, the great Avenger, the man with a mission to restore cup pride to the other half of North London?
Well, obviously, the fans are going to build it up like that. I'm sure maybe some of the players who played in the game for Arsenal are going to think, well, it is a chance to get back at them. But, we'll just be going out there thinking we can win the game, because we're quite confident, we feel good. It's a great draw. It's at Wembley, It's the semi-final of the Cup. You don't need no more motivating.
Arsenal also have
They're north of the border. Well, we're looking forward now to tomorrow's semi-final between Arsenal and Spurs, a repeat of the 1991 match, which, of course, Spurs won. Trevor and Alan, give us some thoughts now on tomorrow's game.
Well, they say if you stop this man, you stop Arsenal, and that's true to a certain extent. This is 2 goals against Forest. The first one he does really well here. He gets between 2 defenders. When the ball's played over the top, he's onto it quick, 1 touch, then hits it from 25 yards. It's right in the top corner, unstoppable. Same again here for the second goal. It's just a ball played over the top. And what you mustn't do is back off him, because if you do that, he'll punish you. That's exactly what he does there.
Now, this is one of the players he'll be up against tomorrow, and certainly I think the arrival back at Spurs of Neil Ruddock has made a huge difference to them defensively. I mean, they let him go. I thought they showed a lot of courage to go back and buy him, having released him for quite a small fee a few years ago, and that back header shows his aerial strength. I mean, he's been dominating in that defensive penalty area all season, but he does very well now coming forward, very strong, as you can see, predominantly left-footed, but now he's got the sort of confidence and composure to look up. He picks out Nick Barmby superbly here against Wimbledon, header across the goal, and Darren Anderton scores.
Now, this is something Tottenham must avoid tomorrow. Flitcroft gets the ball here, and the 2 centre-backs come running out, and the main circle to the full-backs behind them, and if you're playing against somebody like Ian Wright, he'll make you pay for that. At the other end, tremendous responsibility on this man's shoulders. He's playing really well at the moment. This is midweek against Turkey, and this is a terrific recovery tackle. Back to Tony Adams, back to Woods. Again, this is terrific play. Des Walker, defensive header. He goes and blocks the first challenge, and then he's very, very strong, a good piece of skill. And then plays it nice and easy out of defence.
Vinny Samway's in midfield, one of those who just plays behind the front two. Very difficult for the opposition to pick up. You see him in the centre now, scurrying through the midfield. Darren Anderton picks him out. He makes those deep runs. He's got a natural left foot. That one, Tony Coton pushes wide. But he just times his runs to beat the offside trap. Here, Naeem gets the ball against Manchester City. Look at him in the centre of the picture, darting forward. And here, again, he drifts past the goalkeeper. You think at this stage, well, it's bound to be a goal. But you have an argument between sides. Should it be a back four player who picks him up or a midfield player? Here, 2 years ago against Arsenal, look at the space he's got there again, because there was an argument between the midfield and defence. Well, who should be picking Samways up? And I think it'll be interesting to see how Arsenal decide to pinpoint and cope with his runs. He's naturally left-footed. Now and again, he does come on his right foot. That one saved by David Seaman. Now, I think to balance it up for Arsenal, Paul Merson is the unpredictable player. You mentioned Ian Wright, but I think Paul Merson does the unexpected. Sometimes he plays wide, as he does here, comes inside on his right foot, and against Leeds, a screaming goal. He does get some scorchers from that particular situation. But then a week or two ago against Manchester United, he was tucked in himself in the Samways role. Here you see him get the ball, flick the ball over Brian Robson, and as the ball bounces, a terrific shot against the crossbar. I think Arsenal need him fit tomorrow.
Well, some good analysis from you there, but where's the hunch lie? What's the hunch?
We're split, aren't we?
It's close to call, it really is. Tottenham are going well at the moment, but I think Arsenal are a strong side. I think they might just sneak it tomorrow.
I got a fancy for Spurs. Just that little bit of variation and subtlety in midfield.
Do you think Barnby will play?
I would play him because I think Sheringham plays better with him alongside, and I think Anderton is better out wide on the right. But I've got a feeling he might start on the bench.
It might be important for Dixon to be fit, might it not?
I think so. I think he's playing well at the moment.
Yeah.
It's touch and go if he'll be there, but I think it's important for Arsenal if he plays.
Well, we're very much looking forward to it, and just to remind you that tomorrow it starts at 11:45 for you. Now, the Nigel... These are the kind of scenes that used to be reserved for FA Cup finals. But for the second day running, a tremendous full house atmosphere here at Wembley for an FA Cup semi-final. Today, of course, it's the all-North London affair, Arsenal against Tottenham. It's a sea of red and white at one end, as you would imagine. And the Spurs fans in excellent voice at the players' tunnel end. Good morning from Wembley. We're looking forward to another great semi-final here today. And of course, the winners know precisely who they'll play here on May the 15th.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack? Oh, he does, and he scores! Anything Paul Gascoigne can do, Chris Waddle can do. Alan Kelly beaten before he touched the ball. Here he is again. He's getting an awful lot of room. And Warhurst tries to get through the back and does! And it comes off the top of the bar. Really ought to have been 2-0. One cleanly. And a wonderful strike. By Hart. I think Gage took his eye off that. Paul Warhurst. Good strike! And the follow-up, it came too sharply to Mark Bright. Tremendous effort by Paul Warhurst. That's a better ball. Alan Cork. He's got Dean up if he wants. It's going to slide in. Yes, it's 1-1. Chris Waddle trying to get back to deny Alan Cork. And here's Hurst! Second time of asking from Kelly. But another chance comes and goes. Bright tries to hold it up for Sheridan, who curls. Good save! Lovely play by Sheffield Wednesday. Here's Worthington. And it's loose in front, and Hurst, and an amazing save by Kelly. Absolutely amazing. All Sheffield Wednesday at the start of this extra time. And Bright, oh, and another brilliant save. Bright. And in the end, the easiest goal you could wish for.
Wednesday winning the day here yesterday. Well, there's a sort of feeling of deja vu here today because, of course, 2 years ago, Arsenal and Spurs met in the first ever Wembley semi-final, and that turned out to be Alan with us today. Hopefully no false starts, gentlemen. Do you think Tottenham can do it again, Jim?
Yes, thinking about the Grand National, they've had the perfect preparation. I was listening yesterday, along with a lot of other people, to trainers who were saying how they prepared their horse for that one day, never mind a week. And Spurs' preparation has been uninterrupted. I mean, they've had, you know, their regular league programme, but no real problems. Whereas Arsenal, as we'll learn about in a minute, have had to play more young players. So take, for instance, Naeem, you know, being chosen again. I mean, I wouldn't have liked to have said to Naeem,
well, you couldn't leave
you're
him
not
out,
going to play today.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've got Barmby sitting there on the touchline. Much better for a manager in that situation than George Graham, who's got to play something of a second-best team.
So you're leaning towards Spurs today?
Leaning heavily, but you know what semi-finals are like. It's nothing to do with what should happen.
What about Arsenal today then, Alan?
Well, I think Ian Wright will be a key figure for them. He's in a rich vein of form, especially in the Cup, scoring a lot of goals. His great strength is when it's played over the top, he's onto it quick, he scores a lot of goals that way. The best way to defend against him is to defend deep, don't leave the space. But what Tottenham tend to do is they push up, so that's going to be really interesting, that confrontation.
Yeah. If we take a look at the team here, he's got Campbell up front with him today.
Well, I think that's why he's preferred Campbell to Smith, because Tottenham like to push up. Campbell, a little bit extra pace. I think that the first 10-15 minutes that Arsenal will be playing it over the top all the time, testing the Tottenham defence out. Good news that Dixon's back for them, because he's important in defence. The only thing that would worry me about Arsenal is what Jimmy said, the inexperience in midfield. Really, Wembley in semi-final, not a place for inexperience.
They really want to win this, Arsenal. I mean, obviously teams want to win it when they get to this stage, but I mean, it's so important to them, having slumped really by their standards in the league.
Well, the league is important for them, but obviously this is the semi-final of the Cup. It's a derby game as well. They were beaten, as you say, 2 years ago. It's not a place to lose. The semi-final is the worst place in the world to lose because you're so close to what is probably the ultimate for a professional footballer, and that's the Cup final itself.
Yeah. I noticed when we were down on the pitch a little earlier, I mean, you played here a good few times. You said the tension even gets to you walking out now. I can't quite understand
just being
that.
at this place, you know, makes me nervous. I mean, these players have played in big, you know, competitions and unique atmospheres in the world, but this place is absolutely special. It really is.
Yeah. So they'll be going through it right now.
Yeah. Once they actually get out of the tunnel, that's when the nerves go away.
Important though for Dixon to be in that team, Jim, for Arsenal, as Alan was saying.
Yes, it is. He takes an awful lot of stick at times, Dixon, and he's an enthusiastic player. He misses the occasional cross here and there, but he's always ready to attack and put pressure on. You know, he's a willing player, one of those that's not looked upon as a star, but nevertheless contributes an awful lot. You know, he holds his place there in the England side.
They all look very relaxed, but they'll be nervous.
Were you surprised that that Smith's on the bench rather than in the 11? Jim?
I think Campbell is an excellent player, and he has got that pace, as Alan said. The problem, for Spurs could be if they push up too much, that either of the front strikers can pop into that.
Smith creates things there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's a lovely player to play with. I like players who are easy to play with. I mean, Alan and I were having that argument.
He doesn't look too happy about
Hughes.
it.
No. He's always got that serious pace. But if you're in a position, he will give you the ball. First time, off his head or off his foot.
Yeah, he holds
He's
up very well for them, and he brings people into it.
Yeah.
Oh, they've arrived at last, the Spurs team.
Well, they were probably listening to a few words from Terry, you know, as we have to do from time to time. It takes a long time for him to get it out on occasions. But
I think the surface will suit Tottenham's passing game as well. I mean, they've got the players in the middle of the park that can pass it, they can give it and move.
There's Naeem, who's played such a vital part in the cup run, hasn't he? He's
would you like to actually face him and say, well, thank you for the hat-trick?
Well, it wasn't
difficult to leave him out. Yeah. I'd agree with that.
There's some days these are here, aren't there?
Oh, it's tremendous. It just makes you want to get out there. It really does. And the nerves will be leaving them.
Anderton, how will he play today, do you think? I mean, he's come good in the last few months.
Yeah, that's a tribute. That's a tribute to Spurs' coaching methods. I mean, he came in, the crowd were unhappy with him. You know, Spurs spectators expect, as most of them do, instant success. Paid a lot of money for him. Why isn't he winning the matches? But they've carefully, you know, allowed him to progress. Pulled him out here, popped him in there. But the one thing Terry was telling me about him was his amazing stamina. He wins all the cross countries, even over your more older and more experienced players, without trying. So that's a great asset for a professional player.
And of course he played well in the semi-final last year against Liverpool, didn't he, for Portsmouth? So he's
had the experience, he does. I've got a sort of hunch that we might see another extra time one today, I don't know.
It's very close to call, actually.
Yeah.
There's not much between the two sides.
OK, gentlemen, we're all set for the second semi-final. Who's going to play Sheffield Wednesday in the final? Let's join our match commentators now, Trevor Brooking and John Motson.
Thank you very much, Desmond, and good morning or nearly good afternoon to everybody. It's a scene I think we're going to get used to this on semi-final day, because I spoke to Sir Bert Millerchip, the FA chairman, who's there with his wife Barbara at yesterday's match. He's sitting next to Alan Sugar as well there, and he tells me that he personally is absolutely in favour of all semi-finals in future being played here after the success of yesterday, when there were 75,000 people in the stadium, and there must be that many in the ground again now nearly as kick-off approaches today. So in fairness to spectators who want to see these games, I think it's getting to the stage now where Wembley is realistically the only venue. Let's have another check on those team lineups that Alan and Jimmy were referring to. For Arsenal, Lee Dixon passed fit at number 2, Kevin Campbell preferred at 9, and what a young midfield trio there. Number 4, Hillier, number 7, Parler, number 11, 18-year-old Ian Selly. Those three players haven't been starting many of Arsenal's recent matches, so quite a change around there by George Graham. Selly, in fact, the youngest player in the match. How are they going to play, Trevor Brooking?
Well, it's an interesting selection, as you say. I mean, the back four looks very solid as normal with Dixon back, but the midfield trio, Selly, I think, gets in because he is probably a good passer and will help the supply line to Merson, who's going to play as a floater, and Campbell right up front. Hillier, more of the anchor man, perhaps picking up Samways, and Parler, who's a very energetic player and runs all over the field. But those three will be trying to hustle also to make sure Spurs don't get too much time and space in that area.
Well, there were 6 survivors there from the semi-final 2 years ago. Spurs, in fact, have 7, including Naeem, who came on as sub that day, as Desmond said, starting the match now in preference to 19-year-old Nick Barmby, who's on the bench. It's the team that won at Manchester City in the 6th round, so will they play the same way?
Well, I think they will. 2 young fullbacks who defensively, I think, have improved a lot this season. They like to get forward, but they've become more aware of those defensive responsibilities. Sesley would do the anchorman's job, probably looking after Merson as he floats around. And, of course, up front more, Anderton, who I must say I prefer in his old Portsmouth role, sort of wide on the right side of midfield. But because Barmby's on the bench, he'll be pushing closer to Sheringham.
Now, this lad, Selly, what an opportunity. He only made his debut earlier this season. I was at the game against Blackburn Rovers. He comes from Chertsey in Surrey. Nice passer of the ball. He was away with Barmby with that World Youth Championship squad in Australia, which is why he's not played much recently. But what a day at 18 to be taking part in a match like this. And the referee, Philip Don, who comes quite near from here, 15 miles away, in fact, from Middlesex, he's got a test on too, because I saw the league game between Spurs and Arsenal at White Hart Lane at the end of the year, and there was trouble that day, as you may know. It was widely reported, and the referee on that occasion has since threatened to retire because of some of the abuse he suffered since. So there is a certain test of temperament here today as well for all concerned. But on this glorious morning and afternoon and fine Wembley surface, we can only hope that Terry Venables' type of football, and that preached down the years by him and George Graham, is seen to be today, on a showpiece occasion, the deciding factor to determine who plays in the final itself. Arsenal red and white, Spurs traditionally white and blue, and Ian Wright up front straight away. And the first foul, in fact, is by Merson. Well, can we possibly hope for the sort of start we had yesterday? The old Spurs favourite, Chris Waddle, 63 seconds. Ruddock takes the free kick, looks for Sheringham. Up goes Tony Adams, away by Hillier. Definite that Parler's playing on the right side at the moment. Merson looks to be just in behind the front two, which Trevor will pick up, I'm sure, as the team settle down. Here's Linnigan. And Sheringham just hoping to sneak in there. That's Naeem on the far side.
Yeah, you mentioned Merson. I mean, Merson will play just behind the front two, and Sedgley is the one actually who will be detailed to mark him. And at the other end, Hillier is sticking closely to Samways, and those two are very influential midfielders, like to get forward and supply the strikers. It'd be interesting whether Samways or Merson gets the more space.
It's such a dramatic day, isn't it, the semi-final, wherever it's played, and two North London rivals here whose head-to-head record over 121 matches is Arsenal 51, Spurs 45, and 25 games have been drawn. Winterburn. Campbell looks for right, the back heel didn't find Campbell. Winterburn. Right. Took a challenge there from Sedgley. Ian Wright goes down in pain. And on comes the Arsenal physiotherapist, Gary Lewin. Steve Sedgley was the man who fouled him here. Wright gets the ball down and then tries to backheel it seems, Trevor.
Well, he just tried to drag it away from Sedgley and he caught his standing foot. I don't think it'd be too bad. But I mean, in the first few minutes, won't be too much of a surprise if we get one or two free kicks as the early skirmishes go on.
Well, we've talked about free kicks on these occasions. Not quite the position here for a Gascoigne or a Waddle, but certainly one that Merson could bend in dangerously. I see Linnigan's made his way forward for Arsenal too. And Eric Torsvet got hands to that, but didn't seem to pick it out cleanly, and Arsenal have a corner.
Not the first touch you really want in an important semi-final like this.
Hillier will take the corner. Adams and Linnigan have both gone forward, and Parler's there in the 6-yard box as well. Going for the flick on Parler, it was Sedgley, then it was Merson, and wide is Hillier. It's out. Darren Anderson with the header, now it's Selly. Not a bad ball either. Forward early for Campbell. And it took two Tottenham defenders to thwart Campbell.
Good ball in from Selly though, just a good touch. He just floated it into space, and that's what he's going to be in the side for, to give the service for Campbell and Wright. Alan Hansen mentioned it before, to turn the Spurs defence around, and he just clipped it into space well.
Beautiful day now, the sun's shining on this North London occasion, but I'm sure it's being eagerly watched elsewhere too. This is Winterburn. Again, Arsenal go for the early ball forward. This is Ruddock. Linnigan. Now Lee Dixon, whose fitness was confirmed this morning. It must be something of a gamble. He came back on crutches from Turkey. Here's Parler up against Justin Edinburgh. Away by Mabbott. David Seaman, who will be determined to do well today. Here's Anderton. They all are, but Seaman for special reasons. Anderton, Sheringham! And indeed, every goalkeeper likes to get a good early save in. And Seaman, after what happened to him at the hands of Gascoigne and Lineker, saw that Anderton was shaping there for the first real shot from Tottenham. Sheringham had the final effort, but the two up front combined well.
Very positive play by Anderton, wasn't it? Went at 3 defenders, had good awareness to know Sheringham was holding the 18-yard box, and hit it well enough, but Seaman made a comfortable save. He then appealed for the offside, didn't he? Sheringham got caught for offside just then, and I thought the linesman did very well earlier not to flag, because Sheringham was coming back onside when Anderton picked up that original possession.
Notice Philip Don there, just quietening down a couple of players who clashed further upfield as the free kick is taken. Had a word with Tony Adams, in fact. Here's Dixon. This is Campbell. And now it's Samways for Tottenham, pursued by Hillier. Goal kick.
Just a couple of slips, wasn't there, just in Edinburgh when we had quite a bit of rain in London, and so the surface will be a bit more slippery than it was in the first semi-final yesterday.
Now another conversation between Lee Dixon and the referee. Mr. Don is known to be a firm disciplinarian. He won't stand any nonsense. Naim gets a word in as well.
I think it's all to do with that first offside decision when Sheringham ended up with the shot. Anderton, when he picked up possession, Sheringham was 10 yards offside, but he was coming back on to play, having sort of closed down on the goalkeeper. And I think it was definitely a good decision by the referee and the linesman to say, you know, keep the game flowing.
This is Winterburn. Header was by Parler, wearing number 7. That was Dean Austin. And Ian Wright moving through the inside left position, but Paul Allen tackling back. Winterburn to take the throw for Arsenal. Gets it back from Merson. Merson again. Parler's the player offside. As the Arsenal fans hoping now to see 2 cup finals here between Arsenal and Sheffield Wednesday, whereas the Spurs supporters hoping their team can extend their FA Cup success record. They've won it 8 times. Nobody else has. Dean Austin. Away by Selly. There's Campbell, challenged by Mabbott. Bit of a tangle there between 4 players. Foot up by somebody. And indeed, the way of sorting that out is to drop the ball. Austin. Mr. Don had charge of last year's final between Liverpool and Sunderland, as I recall, Trevor. So experience on the big occasion.
You have to be eagle-eyed early on because everyone's marking down. I mean, they know each other so well, and it's very evident in the first 10 minutes, particularly both managers being very aware of the dangers of the other side. And at the moment, they're stifling each other.
Naim for Spurs. Linnigan for Arsenal. Parler. Challenge coming in from Edinburgh. Yes, the one thing Arsenal were determined not to let happen today was the poor start they got off to 2 years ago. Tottenham caught them absolutely cold and were 2 up in 11 minutes. Well, we're coming up to that mark now. And it hasn't happened today. Dixon's throw, on by Campbell, right challenging, good play by Ruddock. This is Merson on the right now, and he's done ever so well, Merson, and Dean Austin has to clear, but it's not really away. Merson again, and this time a free kick, but it's obvious from that Merson's got licence to roam.
Well, he has, and he's going to have to if he's going to shake off Sedgley, but he got away from 3 defenders there. Terrific bit of skill. Couldn't quite get the final cross in properly.
I just wonder what the thinking was between George Graham and Terry Venables about where to sit today. Both tend to start matches up in the stand, but look at this. Terry on the front row, next to Doug Livermore. George down there as well, next to Stuart Houston. They want to be close to the action. We still seem to talk about Terry as the manager. Of course, he's the chief executive, and he's taken something of a backseat behind Messrs Livermore and Clements. Here's Sedgley. And here's Parler. And Campbell's out to the right. Ian Wright is in the middle. And Parler tries to charge through. It's come to Campbell anyway. Taking on Edinburgh. Campbell's cross. Oh, important interception. Dean Austin again. That's twice. Having to come right across from right back to cover a dangerous break there by Arsenal. Anderton. Allen. Now Austin further forward. He started well, the number 2 for Spurs. Young lad on a big occasion. And here's Paul Allen. Sheringham in the middle. Naeem further over. Anderton joins them now. Foul. And Adams reacts a little angrily as he gets up after bringing down Paul Allen. Now the test here is whether Arsenal can contain Ruddock and Mabbott. Ruddock's gone up to the far side of the area. Adams looks to be marking him. Mabbott's in there too, and so is Sheringham. It's off Linnigan, in fact. And now Campbell takes on Sedgley, and it opens up for Arsenal. Hillier's in the middle, Wright is further forward. There goes Wright, blocked off.
A strong run by Campbell, wasn't it? He is a powerful player. He's had a poor season, strangely enough, and then about 3 weeks ago he scored a couple of goals and has suddenly come to life again, and that's why he's kept Alan Smith on the bench today. He went past it just in Edinburgh earlier, didn't he, down the line, and got a good cross in, and so he started well.
Here's Selly, Hillier, Winterburn. Now testing Spurs with the long ball, but as yet the Tottenham defence looks firm. This is Campbell again, though, making a nuisance of himself. Merson tries to get Winterburn in. Wright and Parler are waiting in the middle, and the clearance is by Mabbott. Corner to Arsenal. Well, they'll want David Hillier, presumably, to swing this in with his right foot. Linnigan and Adams have joined Campbell and Wright in there. Not a good corner by Hillier. They look awful, those near-post corners, when they get the delivery wrong, don't they, Trevor?
Yeah, anything short and that is cut out does look poor. I mean, Hillier's looking to get it, whip it into the 6-yard box. Arsenal had 5 players in there and such, and Linnigan and Adams are the 2 main ones that they're trying to get just the faintest of touches.
It'd be nice to see somebody produce a different sort of corner one of these days. It seems to have been with us since the Arc, the near-post ball. That's Linnigan. Ruddock. Anderton. He's picking up a bit of pace. Samway's in behind him, but Arsenal closing ranks. It's Hillier's through ball. Campbell's away. Torsved out. Terry Venables with a few words to get across there. Recent form of the two teams very, very good. Spurs have had 8 wins and 2 draws in their last 11 games. Arsenal have been beaten only once in their last 10 in League and Cup. And here's a man who's never lost at Wembley, Eric Torsvet, 4 appearances. Selly. This is right. Nice touch, Parler. His right's foul on Sedgley. 9. Samway's well forward, pressing Dixon. Plenty of practice for Seaman on the kicked clearances so far. Bit of a show again by Wright, this time on Ruddock.
He's not going to have much joy 1 against 1, so he's trying to give him a little nudge as he goes up, but the referee's spotted each occasions up to now.
Sheringham's header. Harry Mabbott was up on the chase to try and pick up Sheringham's flick there. Now he's got to go back to his defensive responsibilities. This is Austin. It's Anderton. Through run by Sedgley here in the area, couldn't reach it. He scored, of course, at Main Road in the last round, Steve Sedgley. It's Edinburgh to Naeem. Sedgley looks for Naeem again. Now Dixon facing his own goal.
I think Arsenal have had the edge in the opening spell. It's interesting, Terry Venables just made a slight tactical switch. He decided to put Anderton out wide on the right and put Paul Allen in alongside Steve Sedgley, give him a little bit more bite in that midfield and leave Sheringham a bit isolated up front with Samways getting closer to him, and it might help Samways lose his marker Hillier.
Yes, there's quite a lot of tactical thinking gone on, because I don't think Tottenham knew the Arsenal, well, I know they didn't know the Arsenal lineup until half an hour before the game. That was Samways getting it wide again. Anderton. It was appeal for handball there by Spurs, was it? Well, Anderton. I think they appealed there against Linnigan, was it, Trevor?
As he hooked it on, it had to clip something, and they said it was his hand. I'm not sure it would have been deliberate, though.
Corner kick. Ruddock's in there, so is Mabbott. And they're appealing again, Tottenham. Again, they're hoping for a handball decision, but play goes on with Austin All. It might go on with Merson. Anderton, foul by Merson. This is Samways. And now it's Naeem. Edinburgh's well forward as well. Parler. Well, a few scares, a few threats, but nothing so far to disturb the Sunday lunchtime atmosphere. Weather perfect, fans in good voice. Allen for Spurs in that more central position now. Sheringham's got Samways going down the left wing. I've seen quite a lot of Spurs-Arsenal matches down the years, and there is a tendency, especially in the league games, for the two teams to cancel each other out, and there have been a lot of low-scoring matches. That semi-final was a bit of an exception 2 years ago.
Well, definitely, I think Arsenal had that little bit of the edge in the opening spell, and Terry Venables looking at it, seeing Samway he's not getting much joy, has pushed him further forward now, and as I say, got Danderton out wide on the right, and his balance will look a bit better, and I think Paul Allen will be that bit more competitive alongside Sedgley in the midfield.
This is Dean Austin. Flick on was by Sheringham, looking for Samways. It is Winterburn. Goal kick. Adams, Merson, Dixon, Ruddock. Selly. Halfway through the first half, and no sign yet of any classic football, I have to say that. It's a little bit functional so far. Few painted faces. Hillier. Sedgley. Austin. And Minigan coming in for the header, but it's fallen in the end to Parler. This is Campbell. Mabbott stretching. Naeem. Now Samways. He's got Edinburgh charging up from left back. He's got Sheringham in the centre, and he's got Linnigan to beat. Naeem. Anderton. Winterburn looking up to see where right is. This is Campbell. Sedgley for Tottenham. And now Sheringham. Winterburn's well out of position here. Sheringham making the use of the space. And he's gone inside, but he went a shade too far, and Linnigan blocked it. And Merson now the long ball searching out right. This is Sedgley. It's a bit of a chess match, Trevor, isn't it? It needs somebody to move out of position, as Winterburn did then when Sheringham got in, to change the predictable pattern of play.
Yeah, somebody just took a chance and threw an extra man forward, and then it broke down. That's what happened there. Suddenly there was a gap at either end, but neither side were able to capitalise on it. I think as the game drags on at Wembley, it'd be very unusual for it to be so tight over 90 minutes. I think gradually you will get the space developed, but at the moment certainly they're cancelling each other out. They know each other so well, and they're sort of really making sure that the danger men don't get the space they want.
Ian Wright's been penalised by the referee, and there's certainly no risks being taken in this opening half hour. Dixon, Merson. It's Campbell with Ruddock. Samways. Anderton. Sheringham nearer to him. Naeem is the man he picked out further over. Naeem into Sheringham. This is Allen, he's going to set up here. Anderton. Allen tries to go for the return. Little bit of crisp Tottenham football. which they know so well. That was Wright. That was Edinburgh. And Adams has gone forward, marked by Sheringham here. But he jumped underneath it, Tony Adams. That's back in by Linnigan.
Both sides just charge out. Whenever it's half cleared, you'll find both defences sprint out of the 18-yard box, and you're going to get the obvious number of offsides. It's going to be very difficult for forwards not to get called offside.
Offside, exactly as you said it. Well, I hope it gets a little bit better than this. I have to say that after 27 minutes, it's very much a game being played in the minds of the coaches at the moment, I would say. There goes Campbell, up against Ruddock. He got half a shot on it.
Terrific ball from Hillier there. The sort of pass I would have thought they've been trying to get Wright in on, but it's been 2 or 3 occasions Kevin Campbell rather than Wright.
Anderton, some ways had run offside, so Anderton went himself. Good decision by the number 9, and then Linnigan challenged him. No foul given, it's a corner. Spurs surround Mr. Don. Sheringham and Naim up to him immediately to appeal. Sedgley as well. They felt it was a foul on Anderton by Linnigan. Trevor.
It was a foul, he didn't get the ball. Anderton towing it past him. The referee looked at the linesman who was right next to the 2 players. He didn't flag, so he didn't give the decision.
Well, suddenly the semi-final comes to life with a controversial moment. Darren Anderton, the man allegedly brought down, takes the corner kick. Ruddock's in there again. And Ruddock appeared to be held there as well, but with his arm on his head, he signals, but nothing's given. This is a good spell for Tottenham. It's Edinburgh. What I'd like to know is, was it inside the area when the impact was first made on Anderton? And someone's spoken about it too much here. Tottenham are in trouble with the referee. 2 decisions didn't go their way, and somebody has said too much. I suspect it's Sedgley. And the Arsenal players are doing some pointing as well. It's Paul Allen, in fact, who's being booked. Yellow card for Allen. Now, Anderton was away. The defender was Andy Linnigan, and he comes in here. Now, what I'd like to know, it's a foul, Trevor Brookings says, but was the impact on the other side of the line? Would it have been a penalty, or would it have been a free kick?
It was definitely a foul. That's the only argument, whether it was inside the box or not. the amazing thing was the linesman, in all honesty, was right up with play and didn't give it. And so the referee looked across and decided that it could only have been a corner. But I can understand Spurs being very frustrated. My only query was whether it was inside the box. Well, we should be able to tell here. I mean, I think when he slides in, first of all, you'll see that he's outside. But as he actually makes contact, oh, I'd have said perhaps just outside the 18-yard box.
That was my query on to start with. I would say that would have had to have been a free kick, Trevor, really, not a penalty, in fairness to Arsenal. But I do agree with you, it was a foul. In the meantime, Linegan got a bang in the eye. We're not quite sure how. There was all sorts of reaction to that corner that followed. And there's some some good humour down there, it would seem. And certainly there's David O'Leary sharing the joke. And I think somewhere there, George Armstrong, a member of the famous double team, yes, with the white hair in the centre there, played with George Graham. There's George. And as an old winger, he would have had a view, no doubt, on what happened there on the flank. Well, certainly with 32 minutes gone, that incident is the one that the crowd will be talking about most. And the reason that laughter was going on, I've got a feeling there's a television monitor down there in the tunnel, and that the two managers can actually see the replays. So I wonder whether their view was that of Trevor Brooking and myself. Certainly in the aftermath, a bad cut on the eye for Linegan. We had one last year in the final, didn't we, involving Bracewell when Philip Don was the referee. A huge call for a penalty which wasn't given. But this one, I honestly think, if it was a foul, it was outside the area when he made the challenge. Seaman to take the kick in the end. Selly. This is Campbell. Now it's Hillier. Header again. It was a slip by Campbell, but the offside flag was up anyway. Here's Merson. Oh, he saw where Torsvet was.
Terrific bit of vision. In the end, initially you thought, well, no, what's he doing? But of course, Torsved was off his line outside the 6-yard box, tries to hit it with the outside of his foot, doesn't quite get the swerve.
Well, he's got Naeem and Samways on that side now, just in Edinburgh to help him get the ball forward. Parler. With Mabbott. Parler again. Trying to take on two of them down that side. And he'll be happy enough to get the throw for Arsenal. If you've joined the match late, 35 minutes gone at Wembley. It's Arsenal 0, Spurs 0. And one appeal for a penalty, but not too many shots and saves up to now. Well, is Naeem allowed to stand there? Up to the referee to decide. Campbell goes up. Dixon comes in. Torsvet comes out. Needs some help from Anderton. Winterburn. A couple of crosses seem to have deceived Torsvet very slightly.
Had that first deep one, didn't he, from Merson from the free kick that just went out for a corner, slipping off his hand, and that one was an up and under hanger. Both occasions, though, hasn't had to pay for the fact he hasn't quite held on to them.
Many years ago, one player specialised in jumping up in front of his opponent, and he was about to take a throw. An old Bournemouth player, I think, called Norris. And it caused a lot of confusion at the time as to whether it was within the laws. Anyway, here's Samways, and this is Anderton. Austin spreads the play. Ruddock is still forward, gets a touch on it. Mabbott. Wide again to Naeem. And still Ruddock is in there. And there he is, Ruddock!
It's always dangerous, isn't it, Neil Ruddock, in those situations. Good cross, he gets a running jump, whereas Linnigan's had to backpedal and stand. Didn't quite have the power to ever feel it was going to beat Seaman.
Here's Merson. In the way was Mabbott. And this is Sheringham. Things are really brightening him up now. And Adams gets mixed up here. And there's a real danger. And it was Vinnie Samways. And Seaman scrambled back. And Adams will be so relieved. Samways was clean through for Spurs.
Well, that was nearly an unbelievable calamity, wasn't it? First of all, Tony Adams missed kicks barely. On his left foot, I must say, I thought Vinnie Samways might have done better. And then secondly, David Seaman, it slipped through his hands, but was always going to trickle wide.
Well, we've had an exciting 7 or 8 minutes now, haven't we? It's as if the game is opening up, and there's a foul on Parlour by Edinburgh. And again, the referee just calming down a bit of reaction there. It was Samways who had to be led away from him by Sheringham. Now then, Arsenal with a free kick. Linnigan has gone forward. To be taken by Dixon. Winterburn. Austin. Oh, good touch by Samways to Sedgley, and back again. But it was Anderton whose pass was rather hurried. Here's Selly into Merson. Ruddock. 6 minutes to go to half-time at Wembley. No score between the great North London rivals as they play for the right to meet Sheffield Wednesday in the final here on May the 15th. Mabbott. Edinburgh. Naeem. Sheringham trying to fox Linnigan, and in doing so he gets a free kick. And I think Mr. Don sees that as gamesmanship by Linnigan, the way he blocked his man, and he's going to get a yellow card for it.
Linnigan's appealing that he felt Sheringham had backed into him, but once he had rode the tackle that he tried to pinch in front of him, then he had to bring him down, stop him getting away, and so 1 card apiece.
Yes, Linnigan joins Allen in the referee's notebook. Here's Sheringham. Edinburgh. Right across, and nobody able to lay claim to it for Spurs then, but they might now. It's Allen. Anderton on this wing. Tries to win the corner off Winterburn, who was too wise to it, but he needs help now. Selly. Here's Wright. They've kept him quiet so far, have Tottenham. And Dixon was a bit tight there. It's Naeem. Sheringham in the middle, being joined now by Anderton and Sedgley. And Naeem tries to find Sedgley first time, can't. And it comes off Adams, and then it's Winterburn. And Arsenal are in a fix here. Well, they've got out of it. I'm not sure that they know how. This is Merson. Through the middle goes Campbell at the other end. Wright and Selly waiting in the centre. It's still Campbell.
Two little flutters at either end, weren't there? First of all, a couple of little panics. Wright's ball to Dixon, where Naeem pitched it off him, and then it went into the box, and Adams sliced his clearance, and then they managed to hack it away. And then a good ball from Merson to release Campbell, who's getting clear a lot more than Wright, isn't he?
Well, he is, actually, and that's a foul by Linnigan on Sheringham. And the second half of this first half has been much more interesting than the start. It's suddenly, the match has produced 3 or 4 incidents, any one of which could have produced the first goal. And indeed, at the moment, Ruddock is lining up for a possible free kick, and Arsenal, mindful perhaps of what Sheffield United didn't do, have formed a wall. And Ruddock chips it in. Headed on, in fact, by Mabbott. Naeem. Austin for Tottenham. Good play by the fullback, going alone. And Adams steps in. Sheringham, as Spurs show some freedom of expression, and Sheringham gets Austin in, and Winterburn steps across him, and Austin wins it back. And here's Anderton, and again it's Winterburn. Thrilling play there by Spurs. Austin right at the heart of it from right back. And in the end it's a corner, which will bring Ruddock forward again. Two Arsenal players jumping with Ruddock, knocked back in by Allen. Offside flag up against Sheringham in the centre.
One or two little panics in the Arsenal defence over the last 10 minutes. I mean, I think for the first 20 minutes or so, Arsenal just had the edge. Then, since the tactical switch, moving Anderson wide and Paul Allen in alongside Sedgley, Spurs have got that little bit better, and Arsenal just had 1 or 2 hiccups, 1 or 2 miss kicks in critical areas, but they haven't proved as costly as they might have done on another day.
That's a fair summing up with a minute to go in the first half. No score, but Spurs have had Arsenal rattled in their last 2 or 3 attacks. That was Samways to Naeem, and they're playing some good cohesive football in this spell, Tottenham. Helped on again by Edinburgh, but just as I said that, it all goes wrong. Fans enjoying the sunshine and watching what has now become a very tight semi-final. Merson had some good moments, Paul Merson already, backed by Mabbott. Dixon. And again. Selly. Oh. And it was well played by Paul Allen. This is Samways, and now it's Sedgley on his left. He'll want it there, couldn't pull it back. But it's still with Tottenham. Edinburgh. Samways. Ruddock. Well, Arsenal will be pleased to cross the halfway line and try and bring Campbell and Wright into the game. They've been out of it for the last 10 or 15 minutes. And here's Anderton, who's very much in it. Takes on Linnigan. Sheringham is onside, but didn't quite have the extra yard, and Seaman not pleased with the challenge at the end.
Just a bit of frustration for Teddy Sheringham, because Tony Adams, you'll see, just step up, but when the ball was played, he wasn't offside. It just ran away from him too much.
Parler. Sheringham looks for some ways, and Adams goes in. And it's going to come out to Naeem. This period of the game, very much Tottenham's. Naeem forces the corner. Oh, and Dixon makes contact with Naeem in some sort of aggressive fashion, and I don't quite know why he had to do that. The referee has no choice but to take action, in my view, there. Dixon accused Naeem of diving, did he, Trevor?
No, definitely, that's what the problem was. Naeem did a step over, went to the line. Dixon definitely got the ball. Naeem did go over, and Dixon got up very angrily that he should be trying to look for a penalty, having made a good contact on the tackle, and then Dixon foolishly chested him and shoved him, and that's why they both ended up in the card.
They've both got the card, so not much good has come out of that incident for either player. Yellow cards for Naeem and Dixon, bringing the total so far in this semi-final to 4. Few players on the edge here. Spurs have the corner. That's Linnigan away. Foul this time by Selly on Allen. Well, Tottenham won't want the half to end. Arsenal will.
I think probably the referee will as well.
Well, I'm not altogether surprised. It was going to be a testing game. It's injury time, third minute, in fact, of stoppage time, as we wait for this free kick to be taken by Vinnie Samways, or is it going to be Anderton? Sheringham goes in for the header. Now the whistle will go for half-time, which will take the sting out of things for a few minutes. The referee, Neil Reddick's gone up to the referee to protest about something, and in fact the referee is waving Ruddock away as tempers rise slightly at the end of the half. In fact, Doug Livermore ran across to make sure that Ruddock didn't continue that conversation, and quite a lot of activity there, not all of it in the goal mouth, towards the end of the first period. No score here, but there have been 4 bookings. There's been 1 penalty appeal, and there was a very good spell for Tottenham in the last. Ray Clements having a word there with the referee, and not a particularly pleasant one, I don't think. So Trevor Brookings' verdict, a good start for Arsenal, and then a good finish to the half for Spurs. But the situation, Desmond, is 0-0 between the North London rivals.
Thank you, John. We would appear to have a match on our hands at last. Reflections in a moment or two. But for the moment, we pause for the news now from Moira Stewart. Here, if you've just joined the match between Arsenal and Tottenham, it started tamely, didn't it? But it certainly boiled up in the last 10-15 minutes, Jim.
Yeah, boiled up in the wrong way in some respects, but I suppose a match like this of this importance, you expect a little bite in it, which is the term that's generally used. Spurs played it very cannily. You know, they let Arsenal come to them to start with, and we were saying that Arsenal looked the better team for the first 15-20 minutes in what was a dull period. But on the other hand, Spurs cagily, gradually began, I think, to release players once they realised that they could get at the heart of Arsenal defence, and then they showed that they're a much more accomplished and experienced passing side. Yeah. But they didn't turn it to account, so it's still 0-0.
Yeah, it was drab. It was drab first 25-30 minutes. You know, the ball was going too long from both sides. Both sets of centre-backs were just lapping up, they come in the air, they were heading it down. Then all of a sudden it opened up, and Arsenal started to panic a bit in defence. As you say, we've now got a game in our hands.
Early on, Wright Campbell looked dangerous, but in the end they weren't getting any kind of delivery.
Well, Campbell did. That must be the kiss of death for Ian Wright, because he's hardly had a touch in the first 45 minutes. Every time it's gone over the top, it's gone to Campbell. He's the one that's had the chances. The player for Arsenal has been Merson, and the player for Tottenham has been Anderton. Both very, very good in the day.
Well, Anderton's certainly been involved, Jimmy. I know you're an admirer of him nowadays, and He's had quite a few good touches in that.
Well, he proved
first
how
half.
much he's learned, really, in this game. First of all, he makes a chance, I think, for Sheringham here. A lovely run. He sees the opening, has got the pace and the stride, but the good thing was that he picked out Sheringham, and the ball popped up a bit. He didn't get the full force of his shot behind it there. But nevertheless, it showed his vision, even when he's running under pressure.
See, this is what he does well here. He gets space, and that's not easy in a game like this. And he looks up, and that's class. It's a bit reminiscent of Chris Waddle yesterday.
Naeem takes this down beautifully too. Watch this, look.
Yeah,
Just
great
nice
control, great first touch.
Now, there was the penalty
incident. Now, we could spend 10 minutes talking about this, because there are so many issues involved, quite honestly. I mean, I don't think that Linegan did mean to foul him. I think he thought he was going to get the ball, but he didn't get the ball. And in the end, of course, it starts 6 inches outside and ends 2 yards inside. Can I make the point? Sorry. What I'm going to say is, in those circumstances, surely the referee should exercise the spirit of the law. There is a man who's in a goal-scoring position, you know, not half through the tackle.
Exercise the spirit of the law in what way? Exercise the spirit of the law in what way?
Well, in the spirit of the law, that if it's so close to the line, that nobody can really judge at that speed whether it's inside or outside.
Give a penalty.
You exercise the spirit of the law and say that is a penalty kick.
You're causing all sorts of problems if you start having rules.
No. If you've ever been on referees' courses, that's what they will tell you. The referee has the ultimate decision. And if he says, to my mind, the spirit of the law in that circumstance,
he's not even given the free kick.
No, but that's a mistake. That is a positive mistake.
Well, I think the consensus of opinion would be that it should be a free kick.
Obviously,
it was a free kick.
Yeah. Whether or not he's going to give it as a penalty.
Let's move on then. Tony Adams was the hero for England on Wednesday night. Things turned around a little bit, and today he made a bit of an error, which was involved in a bit of an error, which led to Sam Wes having a chance.
In actual fact, he had a bad 5 minutes. He tries a pass back here to Seaman. He gets it all wrong. Sam Wes coming in, and this is actually the best chance of the game. He takes in his favoured left side. And actually, Linegan does very well here, just to push him off. And Seaman, it wasn't coming hard at him, but it's gone through his legs. And in actual fact, if he'd been standing there on the goal line, that might have been a goal. But that was possibly the best chance of the game.
Yeah. Well, a mistake to see Adams, who was the hero in the week, I mean, now turning out to be, the duffer. Is quite extraordinary. Everybody was saying he's come of age at last, and now he's got composure. But I think that's because of the inexperience in front of them. I think the Arsenal, the Arsenal
was just a
team,
bad pass back.
No, I'm not talking about that particular incident. But his form and lack of confidence is because they've got too many youthful players in the side. They haven't got the experience.
Once upon a time, pulling people back like that wasn't part of the game. They seem to let it go now. Samway's got pulled back twice there.
Oh, well, that's
it is part. I used to be very good at that, actually.
Yeah, but you did it. You did it definitely. We didn't see it. You went with that hand and did it with that hand.
But it's part of the game. As soon as somebody comes past you, automatically your hand comes out, and that's what happened there. And as you say, the referee lets it go. But I actually thought Linegan did very well there to get back and just put him off his shot.
As you both said, the game got a bit niggly towards the end of the half there.
Yes, that was
and there was an incident here.
Because it is a nice occasion. The supporters are well behaved, and we were really perplexed by that. I mean, there's no question that Naeem,
well, he did retaliate.
At that point, he walked up and gave Dixon the opportunity to behave badly, shall we say that, instead of just getting on with it.
I can't understand Dixon there. He's made a great tackle, and he gets up,
didn't he?
And discipline is.
Steamed up. Okay. Right, let's go down to the tunnel now, because David O'Leary is down there, Gordon Dury is down there, and of course Ray Stubbs is down there.
From an Arsenal view, what did you make of all that?
I thought we started very well. I mean, Tottenham, the last 10 minutes have finished the best, but if you can learn from 2 years ago, I mean, we didn't start playing, the first 20 minutes of the game was really won, and we really wanted to get off to a good start, and we did, and it was pretty even, but as I say, Tottenham have dominated the last 10 minutes of the game.
You needed a goal really there, didn't you, because you were playing so well?
Yeah, I think as David says, it was very tight early doors, and I think the last 10-15 minutes we come into the game more. I think we were disappointed the fact that half-time came as early as it did, so hopefully we can go out with the same attitude we did in the last 10-15 minutes here.
What did you make about whether it was a penalty or whether it wasn't a penalty?
As an Arsenal player, I thought it was a great tackle.
And what was the view from your side of the bench?
Yeah, our two subs were warming up behind the goal as well, but they thought it was definitely a foul. But whether it was inside or outside the box was a different matter. But they definitely thought it was a foul.
expect you want to continue in the same vein now as you enter the first half.
Yeah, I think, as I say, the last 10-15 minutes, I thought we came into the game and dominated, so hopefully we can start again the second half the way we ended the first half.
For Arsenal, got to get Ian Wright in it more?
Well, Kevin Campbell's the one we've got in down the channels, and I mean, Ian has had a very quiet half, but that's really when he's at his most dangerous, and hopefully we all know if we can give him the ball in the right area, what he can do, and hopefully we can do that in the second half.
It's getting tense and a bit niggly out there.
Semi-finals of the FA Cup are always tense, but when you've got it against the two great rivals, it's even worse. And I just hope we haven't got to do what we did 2 years ago and come away from this stadium feeling very bad indeed.
Everybody pretty calm on the bench?
Yeah, as I say, I think we're quite confident the way things have been going the last 10-15 minutes. So confident, but as I say, Ian Wright's not been in the game, but that's probably when he's at his most dangerous.
Thank you, gentlemen. Keep calm.
Well, we'll all try and keep calm. I didn't see much calmness around at Aintree yesterday, but we'll see what we can do today. Well, moderately. Where's the game going to be won in the second half? I mean, traditionally at Wembley, things tend to open up a little bit more in the second half, or certainly as the game nears
Yeah, as the game
completion.
progresses, players get tired, there's more and more space. I think Tottenham are looking very, very strong. I must admit, the last 15 minutes of first half, they started passing and moving. But Arsenal's still in the game.
I think your man Wright's not going to have another half like that. I think he's going to have a decent... What do you think? I mean,
well, David O'Leary makes the right point. He's dangerous when he's quiet. It just needs one pass to find him out. I still feel that Arsenal are passing it too long. If you can, pass it 15, 20 yards to him, then use his pace. But if it's coming 40 or 50 yards, Mabit and Ruddock could just lamp it up.
Of course, he's got Barmby up his sleeve, Tottenham.
Yes, he has, and the centre of Arsenal's defence at the moment is tending to be weak. I mean, there is a difference with Linegan here alongside Adams than Walker, because Adams is the big, strong one, and Walker is the pacey one. That's a good balance for England, whereas for Arsenal, it doesn't look a good balance as central defence. And Spurs have got the experience, and as we saw yesterday with Wednesday, when there becomes more space in the second half, the point that Alan's made, the team that is most superior and most experienced and can put passes together will take the game over. And that should be Spurs. But as I say, it's a semi-final, and Wright could change anything.
We just hope it doesn't get too niggly in the second half.
Yeah,
sure. It doesn't boil over.
I still think we'll have extra time again. I don't know. Anyway, let's enjoy what we have to come with Trevor.
More matches. And one hopes that the quality can survive the quantity. I've got my doubts sometimes, but there you are. However, there's nothing to replace an FA Cup semi-final, is there? And here we are at 0-0, starting the second half with Spurs now playing from the right. That's Sheringham, and this is Paul Allen. And one or two players having to watch themselves now, 4 on a yellow card. This is Austin, who I thought had a very good first half for Tottenham. Adams finds Parler, taken out by Sedgley. This is Winterburn. Header by Mabit. Just in case you didn't catch the substitutes' names today, Alan Smith and Steve Morrow on the bench for Arsenal, Nick Barmby and Gudni Bergson standing by for Spurs, who are now defending against Wright. He tries to find Campbell. There's Anderson getting back. Would you see any change in tactics, Trevor, at the start of the second half?
No, it's all the same as it finished, with Anderton wide and Paul Allen alongside Sedgley some ways further forward. Arsenal sticking to the same formation. I mean, the two alternatives, Smith and Barmby, are the two that always could come on if somebody's looking to add a little bit more of an attacking sort of balance to their side. But while it's 0-0, I think both managers will be a bit cagey of making any changes too early.
That was Selly. Mabit. Allen's header, Anderton. Merson's touch, and Samway's interception. Oh, and Sedgley wasn't favoured by the rebound off his own player there, really, and Wright is offside. He's hardly seen an opening like that so far today, Ian Wright. Spurs have done their work on the man who scored 8 goals in 4 FA Cup matches for Arsenal this season. And they knew he was the threat, and so far they've subdued him. But Spurs now have an injury on the far side, and I think it's Steve Sedgley who got a bit caught up there in a tight area and may have been caught by Ian Selly. Still waiting for the official attendance, but it's got to be something in the 70s. Now that Wembley is an 80,000 all-seater capacity. And that's Sheringham. And this is Edinburgh. Oh, now Parler takes Edinburgh out. What did you make of that one?
Not a lot, because it's a wild challenge. Look, thigh high. I mean, I personally think that's a yellow card offence. I think it was on the blind side of the referee, so I don't think he would have seen quite how bad it was. But I mean, Edinburgh got past him, and there's no excuse for a tackle that high.
Well, it's caused more conversation between Mr. Don and Tottenham players. Sedgley and Samways both speaking to the referee as of this moment. They wait and wonder where the breakthrough in this particular semi-final is going to emanate from. All the goal scorers of the last one, Messrs Gascoigne, Lineker and Smith, not on the pitch at the moment. First two won't be at all, and Smith might come on. But Tottenham have a free kick, and as the said Mr Smith watches, Messrs Samways and Anderton round the ball. Sheringham closing in on Linnigan. This is Anderton. And Arsenal had 3 men to clear that. It was Linnigan who did so, and then Austin for Spurs. Allen. Oh, it's a good ball. Vinny Samways to Naeem. Really stretched the play, and it stretched Arsenal a bit. This is Anderton. He'll try and stretch them more here. Mabbutt's up on the far side. Had space, and intelligent play by Gary Mabbutt. That wasn't a free kick or a corner, and the centre-back made it his business, with Anderton providing the cross to get into a dangerous position.
It was all set up by that original ball from Samways, wasn't it? Most people were expecting Mabbutt to head it back across, and so they gave him 3 or 4 vital yards, but he couldn't quite keep his half volley down.
That was a glorious crossfield ball by Vincent Samways, which completely changed the point of the attack. Here's Edinburgh. Oh, that's a good ball again by Tottenham. Samways again, Sheringham in the middle in a good position. Samways cross and picked out by Seaman.
Should have been in early. It was a good pass that released Samways. Sheringham had a yard or 2 on the back 4 of Arsenal. Wanted to cross in early, but as soon as he carried it to the byline, the space got squeezed out. But I think he made the point to Vinny Samways, get it across earlier.
At the other end for Arsenal, it's Wright. And he's forced a corner. Well, the Arsenal defence has coped just about with some promising Spurs attacking. Now it's Arsenal's turn to get up the other end and see what they can do. Got a corner which Hillier will take. Linnigan with 4 stitches has come up to try and get the header. And there he is, in fact, but somebody went underneath him, and it's a free kick given. And whoever's gone down, there's a bit of concern. As there always is when a player gets a bang on the head. It may indeed be Gary Mabbutt. And that doesn't look very good.
He went down in the original foul, and so was on the floor, and you'll see Andy Linnigan actually treads on him then as he comes through. See, as the cross comes over, he's shoved over, and then of course Linnigan lands on him with his foot and studs, and that's what's caused the problem.
Well, he's something of a modern medical miracle anyway, Gary Mabbott. He's well publicised as being a diabetic and has to give himself injections in the dressing room before the game and at half-time. And he's been concussed there, and the man who may have just caught him accidentally at the end, Andy Linnigan himself, has had 5 stitches in a head wound during the half-time interval, but both those number 5s are warriors in the best sense of the word, football-wise, and they're going to carry on. And while that was happening, I've had the crowd figure confirmed of 76,263. That's a few more than were here yesterday. Not quite as many as 2 years ago, but it's the old story. Only Wembley could hold that size crowd for a semi-final. So why deprive people by going elsewhere? Here's Merson. Push. And the big question is, will the 76,000 be taken all the way into extra time as the crowd was yesterday? We've been playing 9 minutes in the second half, and it's Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Parlour for Arsenal, Ruddock for Spurs. This is Naeem. Edinburgh with Parlour. It's been a good battle on that side, or this side. Samways. Naeem. Edinburgh's continued his run down the left. Sheringham's moved into the centre for Tottenham. That's who Samways is trying to pick out. It was offside, but a lovely ball nevertheless, wasn't it?
He has got a terrific weight of pass, Vinny Samways, and it just sits in that little hole now. Since he's been pushed up, he has lost Hillier. First 20-25 minutes, he wasn't in the game, and the tactical switch has definitely given him more freedom, and that left foot, and use the ball wherever he wants to put it.
Edinburgh's header, Merson for Arsenal. It's Ruddock underneath it. That was out. It's a throw. Here's Merson again, up against Steve Sedgley. Well, he might have taken that if he'd seen someone there to give it to. Now, Linnigan has joined Campbell in there. This is Merson. And it's not now, it's Allen, and good chasing back by Lee Dixon, and then caught by Paul Allen. Well, he could have been allowed to play on, but the referee had already blown. Allen's foul. Well played by the England fullback, because that could have been a dangerous position at the other end had he not got a foot in. As it is, Arsenal have the advantage. A free kick, which Dixon himself has gone back to take. And Torsvet's already made up his mind to come and collect that. And he had the freedom of the 18-yard box in which to do so. Here's Austin, looking for Anderton. Adams comes over. That's definitely a foul. Wright goes down. You can see a very animated Terry Venables there between that forest of bodies, and what happened here was that Mabbott came in, and a clumsy challenge, he would admit, which gives Arsenal a free kick. And again, Sheringham goes back to Mark Linnigan. And Linnigan's in there, and so was Campbell, and Austin cleared. Good clearance too to Anderton. must admit, the young right back who was at St Albans 3 years ago before he went to Southend, Dean Austin, is playing an accomplished game. Biggest test of his nerve as yet in his career. Here he is now. This is Campbell. And that's Edinburgh. In fact, both the Spurs fullbacks came from Southend. Justin Edinburgh, the first one, he played in the cup final 2 years ago. Header by Sedgley to Sheringham. This is Samways in the centre forward position. Naeem is to his left. On again by Samways. Edinburgh, the player, coming forward. Cleared by a combination of Linnigan, Dixon, Merson, and finally Seaman. Still tight, isn't it, Trevor?
But it is, it's sort of taken on the pattern of that the first 20 minutes or so, where I think at least Arsenal have now balanced out the play. I mean, Spurs did finish that much stronger up until half-time, but since then, certainly, the game seems to have drifted into another stalemate.
That was Ruddock. Yes, 2 years ago when Spurs won the Cup and Arsenal won the League, they had a 0-0 draw here, as I recall, in the Charity Shield. And who's going to separate them today, if anybody? Here's Campbell, he might. Tries to find Wright. Oh, and it's Selly! Good save, and Wright's in! Double save by Torsvett. And the 18-year-old there could have made his name, Ian Selly. The chance fell to him, and he tested Torsvett. It's Campbell that sets up the play. Selly up with his right foot. Volley with his left. Good effort. Good save. And look at this as Wright comes in. Brave and decisive goalkeeping by Eric Torsvett. Here's Samways for Spurs. Now, is that going to open things up? Campbell again for Arsenal. And Wright goes through the middle. Cut out by Mabbott. Forward by Austin. Well, the youngest man on the pitch. Could have become a hero there, but this is Samways, and he's through for Spurs. Nobody up with him at the moment. And because of that, it looked a very tame effort, but in all honesty, Vinnie Samways had nobody, when he got the ball, making the ground quick enough to command a cross.
I think the only alternative he could have had was to come inside and try and get it on his right foot, because he so favours his left. He just sort of kept the ball a bit wide. But at the other end, that was definitely Arsenal's best chance. All came about actually when Neil Ruddock let Kevin Campbell have space to turn. Then he went past him on the edge of the area and toe-ended it through to Selly, whose first touch wasn't that good, but he did well to hit the volley, and then Torsvett did well to retrieve the follow-up before Wright.
So, again, the game has a little purple patch. Flickers into life, and here's Austin. The little pockets of incident increasing now as Merson gets away for Arsenal. Campbell and Smith switching over in the centre. It's still Merson. Anderton behind him now. Right! And he's put more difficult chances than that away this season. The goal there was virtually at Wright's mercy. It's a great run by Merson. He got round them twice over, really. And look at that. It seemed to spin off the side of his foot.
Well, Merson, a little bit fortunate to get past Ruddock there, but a great first-time cross, wrong foots the defence. I don't know why Ian Wright sort of slid and fell over, because if he just stood up, side-footed it, I mean, 8, 9 times out of 10 he puts those away, and very good chance that.
Well, Arsenal are in full cry now. It's Campbell. But and he's pushed his man down. It's Justin Edinburgh, who he's tangling with. The referee was right on top of it. He didn't give a free kick, and Sedgley's passed back. Campbell was frustrated because he didn't get a free kick for the challenge, and he took it out on Edinburgh, really. Now it's Selly for Arsenal. This is possibly the Gunners' best spell. Right. Winterburn. Oh, and there's a little collision off the ball there. It's Mabbott who's collided with Ian Wright, I think.
It was just Ian Wright sort of came short and then went to turn to run behind Mabbott, and Gary Mabbott didn't move, and so he ran into him, and it looks as if Ian Wright's come off worse. But definitely here you can see, just going out of the picture there, they run into each other, and Gary Mabbott just fending him off as he runs, and Ian Wright staying down, probably just caught a forearm or something in the face. But definitely two very good chances for Arsenal just before that, and as you say, it is their best spell, I think.
Well, I think it is. 18 minutes gone in the second half. It's still 0-0, but the last 10 or so have belonged to Arsenal. They've suddenly found some space from somewhere. That was Parlour, and they nearly found a bit more there. This is a good piece of defending by Mabbott to Edinburgh. Now it's Samways. Naeem. Edinburgh. Still just in Edinburgh. And now Sedgley in quickly. Sheringham. But Arsenal break again. Winterburn looks for Wright. And again, it's a full-time job now for Mabbott, intercepting those. Sheringham gets it back. Helps it on. Anderton. Allen to his right. And Dixon and Linegan. Oh, Linegan drove it straight back against Anderton's foot. It could have gone anywhere.
That's when, of course, the back pass came into it. He suddenly thought, I can't knock it back to the keeper, I'll hit it away, and it hit Anderson. As you say, it could have ricocheted in.
Look at Merson here. He's gone half the length of the pitch and nearly the whole width of it. Wright and Campbell wait in the centre. Selly's there too. Selly did well. Wright. Well played again by Austin. This is Anderton, and now it really has opened up. Teams are finding space on the counter-attack like no other time in the game. Anderton will be disappointed with the pass. But maybe, as Trevor Brookings said in the first half, at Wembley, as the second half draws on, tiredness maybe creeps in here and there, and the openings do seem to emerge. 20 minutes gone in the half. Right to Selly.
Just a rush of blood there, wasn't it? Ian Wright finding one or two little gaps now with his pace and knocked it unselfishly black. I think Selly had a one against one, could have composed himself. But still, very even Steven.
Well, the chances at the moment are going Arsenal's way, although at the other end, there was one nervous moment by Linegan. Edinburgh to Naeem. Little touch by Samways. Oh, and an even better one by Naeem. Samways, oh, he didn't keep it in, according to the linesman. Up against Anderton, who beat him, and Linegan had to step in. And that's a free kick given against Kevin Campbell. Ruddock takes the kick. Linegan. Parlour. Good turn. Throws to his left here. It's Campbell to Merson. Selly's out wide. Wright is through the middle. It's still Merson. Here's Wright. Ian Wright finds space. Good save.
Well, he got his hand to it, but it went through, and fortunately just went over the crossbar. Again, Merson finding that bit more space away from Sedgley. Look where Sedgley is, and Wright hit it very well. Fortunately for Torsved, it was within striking distance and he could get his hands to it.
Adams nearly on the goal line. Linnigan forward again. Campbell's in there. Linnigan jumping, and Spurs playing a couple of short passes on the edge of their own area, but it's worked for them. Look at that. And here's Naeem, and Sheringham could get away here. Offside. Offside against one of the two runners. It may even have been Sheringham who was offside and not the man to whom the ball went. Samways.
Yeah, they had an extra man there, Spurs. Naeem should have just had the extra touch. If he could have played it first time, Sheringham would have been in. But then by holding it up, he actually found Samways, but Sheringham had moved offside.
Well, Tottenham will know that they've allowed Ian Wright 2 presentable chances in this second half. They've got away with it because he sent one wide and Torsved saved the other. There goes Wright again with Mabbutt. Anderton. Samways and Adams. That was out again. Halfway through the second half of this FA Cup semi-final, live from Wembley Stadium. Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Linnigan forward for Arsenal. Parler is the man chasing. Ruddock comes across with the challenge. Campbell. Ran off his foot to Ruddock, and this is Teddy Sheringham. He looks to his right. But, possession given away there. This is Winterburn. Merson, oh, that's a good touch. Winterburn goes again. Austin is with him. That's another good tackle by the young right back. Sheringham. Anderton. Allen. Linnigan came in heavily behind him. Free kick.
Two great defensive tackles from Spurs. Their first one from Ruddock and the second one from Dean Austin. As you say, he's played very well. One of the few in the Arsenal lineup who hasn't had one experience.
Well, he's acquitted himself excellently in this semi-final, and he now has a free kick to take. And Spurs have lined 5 up. Here comes Mabbutt now. Parler. Selly, beaten by Sedgley. Samways, Sedgley again. Sedgley's shot going away. Would you think that Tottenham would consider using Nick Barmby at this? Because, look, he's definitely thinking about some action here.
I think if anyone at the moment, Arsenal are looking the more likely to score, so Terry Venables might have it in mind to make a switch, because Sheringham is more often than not up there by himself, although Samways is joining in as much as possible.
So was Austin there joining in. And Spurs make a little ground. Sheringham the man beyond Selly. And in fact, Hillier gets the header in. Oh, mistake by Ruddock. And Torsved's there to stop Campbell. Now, Naeem. Sheringham pulls away. Naeem tries to find him off the chest of Tony Adams.
Very intelligent run by Sheringham. Naeem just couldn't quite get the height to clear Adams. Perhaps if Barmby did come on, I suppose Naeem, the hat-trick hero in the previous round, might be the one who would make way.
Well, he's certainly left his impression on the FA Cup this season, Naeem, whatever happens, and whatever happens to him at the end of the season, because the 3 overseas players in the Tottenham ranks, Naeem, Torsved and Bergson, are all up for contract discussions, I understand.
Sheringham. Austin looking for Samways and tried to flick that back inside to Sheringham. Adams across. Still glorious sunshine in London. I think he needs a little bit of a sunshade there. And Mabbutt, meantime, has made his way up to try and get on the end of this long throw. Ruddock is also in attendance. There's Ruddock, there's Mabbutt. Sedgley, Mabbutt, Samways, Anderton. Oh, he tried to get Allen through, but Arsenal will break now, and Spurs are undermanned at the back. Mabbutt and Ruddock have got to hurry. This is Parler. Nimes making the saving run here. They're just about back now. Here's Dixon. Merson. Hillier. Selly offside.
He's unlucky. It's not an easy ball to get in because Spurs always, and like Arsenal, go back just to the 18-yard box and then they stop, and then you've got to make sure you time your run and your pass perfectly, otherwise you will get that offside, and it's a free kick now to Spurs.
Sheringham to Mabbutt. George Graham's Arsenal trophy cabinet, lacking only the FA Cup in some ways. He's won the other domestic honours. In terms of managing, that is. He won it as a player, of course, here in the double team, but hasn't been Arsenal's luckiest competition since George became manager in 1986. They'll be here, of course, in 2 weeks' time for the Coca-Cola final against Sheffield Wednesday. But the FA Cup is the one that captures the imagination. It always has, it always will. And it's a tight game we've got here today. 25 minutes gone in the second half. Mabbutt up for this free kick. Comes off Linnigan. Then Dixon. And Mabbutt and Ruddock stay right in the heart of the action there. Ruddock's up. Sheringham's in there. It's Selly who tries to clear. Samways with Winterburn. Anderton squeezed past two of them and got a corner. Mabbutt's up. Ruddock retrieves it. Wide it goes again to Anderton. And Mabbutt's there still. So is Naeem here. Well, it almost became a pass to Anderton. And what's the thinking down there? I want to see Graham Kelly on the left there, the FA Chief Executive, keeping an eye on things from the touchline. Somebody's got his radio on, I can see. Thought he was fouled. His boot came off, in fact. This is Anderton. Sheringham. Anderton, as Alan Hansen said, has played as well as anybody for Spurs. He was in the semi-final this time last year for Portsmouth when he scored a goal in extra time. Here's Parler for Arsenal.
Still Ray Parlour. Now that's outside the area, just in Edinburgh, right under the nose of the referee. And there'll be no disputing that decision. There's the man with only one boot on, Ian Wright. But Parlour was the man who was fouled there by Edinburgh. And this is a position which, when it's all sorted out, Trevor, should give Arsenal some hope.
Well, it's getting to that twitchy stage as well, isn't it? Into the last quarter of an hour, 13, 14 minutes left, and it's just the sort of time when you don't want to concede. I mean, we've waited this long for the breakthrough, and both sides will be that wary of committing the extra man forward and conceding a goal so late now, because it will be difficult to get back into it. Although sometimes you get a double up, don't you? 2 goals in a short space of time. But I'm sure Arsenal, very dangerous at set pieces, will be trying to make the most of this.
Looks as though Ian Wright's going to continue at the moment with only one boot on. He's, I think they've had to go to collect a new one from the dressing room, possibly. Maybe he's going to cross now to sort it out on the touchline. There was a little conversation between him and the referee there. Stuart Houston, the coach, throws out a new pair, or one new boot anyway. So that's given Wright the chance to do some hasty repair work, while his colleague Parlour is treated for the injury.
Well, there's the reason. You see the tongues come out, and at the moment he's just thrown the tongue off, but wouldn't be too pleasing if he got somebody's stud in a tackle going through where the tongue should be.
Well, there speaks an experienced professional, and we've got a free kick then. Adams has now gone up as well. And Merson chips it in, and in came Tony Adams! And Arsenal have taken the lead, and the captain, Tony Adams, who scored at Ipswich in the 6th round and turned the game round there, has turned up again at the far post. He only came late. While Wright was coming back on the pitch, Adams came forward, and I think that threw the Tottenham marking. Look, he's the extra man, and there's nobody there. And with 10 minutes to go, Arsenal take the lead in the semi-final. Tony Adams, the scorer, with a header which goes across Torsvet.
You're quite right, he was totally unmarked, came late. I mean, Ruddock nearly got his head to it, but he was actually marking Linnigan, and it was cleared both he and Linnigan, and Adams was left with a relatively sort of simple header, and it was at the same spot, although the other side of the goal as the one he equalised at Ipswich, and you would have thought Spurs would have known about that.
Well, Wright's gone back over to do some more work on his boot while this is going on, and it was because of that, and because of the Parlour treatment, that Spurs never saw Adams coming. He timed the run to the last possible moment, and nobody picked him up.
No, you can sometimes just go to sleep, lack of concentration, could have played its part, but of course now that's going to be the introduction of Marnby. He's got to come on.
Here comes Ruddock for Spurs, trying to do the same thing at the other end. Well, what a leader and a hero Adams is. George Graham was a bit worried maybe that his exertions in Turkey, look at this now, Sheringham arguing. There was a right old scramble in that penalty area that Philip Don had to sort out. It's because Linnigan actually seemed to knock into a Tottenham player or vice versa. And that all sorts of things are happening. 2 substitutions and arguments going on here. The referee is going to his pocket again. Let's stay with that first, because that's more important than the substitutions at the moment. And Naim's got to be very careful. He's already been booked, don't forget. I think it's Teddy Sheringham is in trouble here.
Yeah, he's just got booked. Unfortunately, he laid a hand on, sort of just shoved Lee Dixon, who then fell over and just promptly got booked for his trouble.
Yes, it's there's activity all over the pitch, but no football. There's a double substitution about to take place. Nicky Barmby and Gudni Bergson to come on for Vinnie Samways and Steve Sedgley.
Well, I can understand Barmby coming on. I must say I'm rather surprised to see Samways be the one to go off, because I would have thought his intervention would have been needed.
Well, this semi-final has reached quite a climax here now. We are 8 minutes away from Arsenal reaching the FA Cup final. Spurs have to quell that celebration if they're going to force extra time. And there are some different expressions, to say the least, around the stadium. I was about to say that Adams was a hero in Turkey for England. He looks like being one for Arsenal again today. And this could be a really fascinating period of play. Campbell's gone down now, because if Spurs push up for the equaliser, as they've got to do, they might leave gaps for Arsenal to score a second. But the busiest man around, Gary Lewin, having to come on again, and this is the goal, Trevor.
Well, in the end, as you see, I mean, it's a free header. No one's picking him up running from deep. Once it clears, Ruddock and Linegan, you see, those two go up together, and Adams is completely free, coming from deep, and he's got a good running jump and gets above everyone. It was a comfortable header, quite an easy goal.
He hadn't scored this season until the Ipswich Cup tie, you know, in the 6th round, and now he's produced one in the quarter-final and one in the semi-final for Arsenal, which will please his manager. Campbell is hobbling quite badly. That was the latest injury to check on. And it's going to be Austin to take the free kick for Spurs, who've got 2 fresh players on the pitch. Barmby is 12, Bergson is 14. Here comes Mabbott. That was Barmby there. Edinburgh, Merson looking for Wright. Ian Wright up against Neil Ruddock. Selly makes a run into the penalty area for Arsenal. It was Parler's injury that was really well, rather his run, which led to the foul and then the free kick, which produced the opportunity for Arsenal to take the lead. Here's Hillier. And Wright waiting in the centre by the penalty spot as the fans respond to Arsenal taking the lead. Here's Dixon, and Selly couldn't reach that. Spurs now have got a lot to do in what could only be 6 minutes. Adams might only be 6 minutes. Austin. Barmby. Sheringham. Austin well forward in this attack. Here he is now, number 2. Anderton tries to make it, but this is where Spurs will cluster forward, and in doing so, Campbell is definitely injured for Arsenal. This may be a case of Alan Smith coming into the action shortly, or even Morrow. Here's Parler, cut out by Edinburgh, foul. Well, now then, there's trouble here. I think that's Lee Dixon again, and he's already been booked for an incident in the first half, and Lee Dixon could be facing the red card. It's going to be a sending off in the semi-final for the Arsenal and England right back. His second bookable offence, and he goes. Arsenal must play with 10 men. Lee Dixon sent off at Wembley. Trevor.
Well, of course, he's paying the ultimate price for that silly indiscipline just before half-time when he nudged into Naim and got the first booking. That one was a late tackle. It was one of those, he was never going to get there before Edinburgh. Was a bookable offence, but he's paying the price for that one just before half-time. As you see it come in, it's always Edinburgh's ball. His body checks him to make sure he doesn't get away. Has to be booked, but it was the first one that was the costly one.
Now, Alan Smith is on. This is Sheringham. Alan Smith has come on. I'll tell you about that in a moment, because it happened while we were dealing with the sending off. Here's Ruddock. This is Edinburgh. Barmby in the centre for Tottenham. They're playing with a man extra now, Spurs. Naim. It opened up for Naim. Smith has come on wearing number 14 because Campbell was clearly injured and couldn't carry on. So it's Smith up front with Wright for Arsenal. But they're down to 10, and I suspect David Hillier will have to play right back now that Dixon has gone off. 3 minutes plus stoppage time on the watch. Can the 10 men of Arsenal hold on to this 1-0 lead and go through to the FA Cup final? or can the 11 men of Spurs force extra time? Ruddock. Edinburgh. Anderton's the chasing player. Linnigan.
I mean, with only 10 men, I'd put Ruddock up for the last 2 or 3 minutes because you've got a spare man. Let's put him into the penalty area and give you a bit of extra aerial height.
Well, yes, and maybe Nabbit at times as well. This is Edinburgh. Hillier with the challenge. He wants the ball to run, and it does. Well, now we're going to have a second substitution by Arsenal. Stephen Morrow has come out from the bench, and Ian Wright is going off. So if there was extra time, they wouldn't have Wright and they wouldn't have Campbell. Well, maybe George Graham thinks that Morrow can just keep it tight for these last 2 or 3 minutes. It's a gamble in a sense, because if there was extra time, Arsenal have forfeited their top goal scorer. But it's been done so that Morrow here can hold the fort in what's left of normal time, I suspect. Bergson for Tottenham. The last couple of minutes of the 90. Adams, the goal scorer. Challenged by Barmby. And that's Merson, and the touch wasn't really good enough, but Spurs in a bit of a crowd there. They can open it out now. It's Edinburgh for Tottenham, Sheringham in the centre. There's Naeem. Oh, he's cut it back onto the roof of the net. He's appealing that it caught a player, is he? Anyway, goal kick's been given. This has been a frantic 15 minutes, Mr. Brooking, hasn't it? Everything seems to have happened in the same period of the game.
I think, to be fair to Arsenal, they've had the better play in the second half, haven't they? Wright had 2 chances, Selly had 1, and then the goal came. Spurs, of course, have to come back into it the last few minutes, but Arsenal defended well and probably just deserved to have edged in front in the second half.
Well, there's a lot to talk about, but not much time to talk about it at the moment. We're in the 45th minute of the second half, but because of all these delays, over on the bench they'll be expecting a fair amount of stoppage time. The fans' celebrations may have to be delayed at least. Well, the latest treatment has been applied, and David Seaman has the ball. Young supporters with differing expressions as he takes this goal kick, as we go now into the time that Mr. Don will add on for stoppages. Alan Smith. Here's Selly. Oh, he kept his feet very well. He also found Stephen Morrow, and that's come off Austin, and Torsvet saves the corner. What have Spurs got left? They've got Barmby on up front, fresh player. Adams goes across to make sure he can't get in there. Arsenal supporters impatiently whistling. Sheringham to head on, Adams to head out. Merson needs to win it for Arsenal. Smith, number 14. Now then, who have they got up front? Only Selly, it would seem. And now it's Ruddock to Edinburgh. Naeem. Ruddock. Abbott's taken a forward position again. Allen. Paul Allen. Going through them. Oh, and Morrow had to make the challenge. It's a corner to Tottenham. It's not all lost yet. Anderton goes across to take it. Never have they wanted something more from either Ruddock or Nabbit than here. Nabbit gets up, Smith wins it. It comes back out to Darren Anderton. In goes the cross again. Bergson arrives. Well, the watch says 47 minutes. Flick on to find Smith. They'll want him to hold this up, but he can't. Allen to Austin for Tottenham. Winterburn with Barmby. Morrow Spurs throw. Bergson. Anderton. Oh, and Seaman had to make it, and he did. It came off his own player. It was a wicked deflection, and the goalkeeper makes a vital save. 3 minutes into time being added on for stoppages. Arsenal lead 1-0. Naeem. Oh, they've let him go a bit there. It's Edinburgh now. Bergson's in the middle waiting. Oh, and Linnigan, no, they've given it straight back to Edinburgh. Barmby, flick on. Chance for Spurs. Headed back in by Allen. Anderton. Deflected off Selly. Anderton again. Well, what do you make of all that? Linnigan gave the ball back to Edinburgh. They're in a dreadful position for Arsenal.
Tiredness more than anything, wasn't it? Spurs with the extra man, putting a lot of pressure on. Can't get a clear-cut shot at goal. And when one or two shots have gone in, David Seaman's dealt with them very well. And perhaps even for him personally, erased the memory of that semi-final a couple of years ago.
Yes, I was thinking that very thing, Trevor, when he made that great catch off the deflection. But 49 minutes now we've been playing in the half. Forward by Mabbott. Sheringham heads on. 12 there is Barmby. Now they're going to get a corner right at the end. Now Arsenal sorted that out pretty well, or Winterburn did. Well, the days when matches used to last 45 minutes are long gone, or halves used to. I know it's all stoppage time, but it seems to go on forever if you're an Arsenal supporter, which, of course, we're not here, but we keep hearing them whistling. But for a neutral, it's been a gripping occasion. Forward by Ruddock. Oh, tiredness spreading all over. I mean, Merson could have collected that and got Arsenal back down the other end of the field. This is Anderton. They're giving Tottenham almost too much of a chance, the 10 men. And still the clock ticks on. 50 minutes. Smith. Well, they're desperate to clinch this now, Arsenal, and Parler has the chance to put Merson through. He wants to hold it by the flag. He'll get challenged by Allen. Smith's in the middle. The flag seems to be the sufferer there. Spurs get the ball out. Arsenal shouldn't be pleased about that. Anderton, and he's got Mabbott away. Naeem's made the run forward. Still Mabbott. And now it's Anderton. And still Spurs have an extra man. He's on the far side. Sheringham. Anderton coming in. And away by Parler. Well, I don't know how many more looks at his watch Philip Don needs. 6 minutes of stoppage time has now been played in this half. And Spurs still have a chance. It's Edinburgh. Parler challenges. And Arsenal are having to fight desperately back there to keep Spurs out. Now, what can Alan Smith do? Oh, he's gone through them. He's got past Ruddock. Good save by Torsvet, who needs to get the ball upfield quickly. Austin forward. Morrow. Well, it's as if we're playing extra time, but we're not now. Arsenal are through to the FA Cup final to meet Sheffield Wednesday here on May the 15th. They have beaten their North London rivals Tottenham Hotspur by 1-0. George Graham is at Wembley twice in a season. And as their supporters celebrate, the goal by Tony Adams was decisive on 80 minutes. And Arsenal finished the match with 10 men, would have had to have tried to hold on to the lead, because in extra time, a man short, it would surely have favoured Tottenham, but it's all hypothetical. Adams is the hero, as he was of England on Wednesday. Anderton is in tears, and Spurs' cup dreams this year are over. Arsenal have revenge for the semi-final of 2 years ago. Burying the memory of Gascoigne and Lineker, they've organised themselves today to meet what Tottenham had to offer, to smother it, and then to show resilience, fortitude and flair, let it be said, in the second half when they got on top. And tears for Tottenham. For Lee Dixon, mixed feelings, no doubt. Sent off, will he miss the Coca-Cola Cup final in 2 weeks' time now? The suspension may rule him out of another Wembley. That would be a sickener for him, and that's probably why George Graham is consoling him. Justin Edinburgh upset as well. A very emotional occasion between two such fierce rivals. Austin was superb at right back for Spurs, possibly their best player. But further forward, they couldn't hurt Arsenal enough, and Winterburn goes to acknowledge the... well, Merson has his own way of doing that. There might be a bit of celebration going on here. And Adams and Linnigan, well, that's a combination that's really bedded down now. And Merson's private party with the fans seems to have started already. Now, what is happening here? Arsenal are turning this into a bit of a carnival on the pitch. Generous applause by the Tottenham Hotspur fans. That's good to see. And one hopes the excellent behaviour that we've witnessed so far today continues on the way home to make these Wembley showpiece semi-finals a thing of the future as well as the present. I think Ian Wright's just getting a bit carried away there with Kevin Campbell, but they had a bit of energy left because they were both off before the end. Now then, can Arsenal go on, I wonder, and complete a unique double of one cup and then the FA Cup? But I think the man of the moment is George Graham, and our man with him is Tony Gubber. Well, he was with him, but I understand we can't quite go to that interview at the moment. The Arsenal players are milking every moment of it. Tony Adams there will be all right on the night, it says. But as I was saying, they could now be on the verge of a double, but then so too a Sheffield Wednesday, aren't they, Trevor? I'm just thinking, we've got two cup finals and the same two teams in both.
Well, it is interesting, but I think Tony Adams was the man of the match, wasn't he, really? Definitely, and it was worthy that he should score the goal. OK, so there we are then. Thank you very much, Trevor. And Arsenal have won the North London semi-final. They've beaten Spurs by 1-0, and they play Sheffield Wednesday here twice now. But the biggest occasion is the FA Cup final on May the 15th.
Well, they're great occasions, these semi-finals now at Wembley, and it seems as though they're here to stay. We can hear now from George Graham.
George, congratulations. Does this make amends for the semi-final defeat here 2 years ago at the hands of Spurs?
Well, that's history now, but I'm really pleased today. I'm pleased for all the boys, because our preparation for the game was very poor. I couldn't do anything about it. But I think we showed a lot of character today, and I think both sets of players played their heart out, and I don't think anybody can be ashamed of losing.
It got a bit tight for you towards the end, down to 10 men. It was backs to the wall and some desperate defending.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's typical Arsenal, isn't it? We're at our best when our backs are against the wall. But yeah, but saying that, I think Eric Thorsveld made more critical saves than David Seaman. Yeah. I thought for the first 20 minutes, I thought we played very well, we controlled it, and then the last 20 minutes of the first half, I thought Spurs really came into the game and they controlled it. And then second half, as I say, Thorsveld made the important saves. And obviously, when we got the goal, Spurs had nothing to lose but push forward.
I don't suppose you expected a defender to get the goal for you, did you, Tony Adams?
Well, Tony Adams, I keep on at him. He's not scored enough goals this year, and he hasn't scored in the league, but this is his second goal in the cup.
But you're going to meet Sheffield Wednesday now in the final, and before that, you'll meet them in the final of the League Cup competition.
And in the league as well. So we've got to play them 3 times. So it'll be very interesting. I'm just glad it's such a big occasion, the FA Cup. It's the best in the world, National Cup competition. I'm just pleased to be there.
Thanks very much indeed, George.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, George. They had the better of the second half, Arsenal, didn't they?
Yeah, they had all the chances in the second half. They deserved to win the game. But what can we say about Tony Adams? We mentioned at half-time, he had a torrid 5 or 10 minutes. That would normally affect most players, but he seems to thrive in adversity. He came out in the second half. Not only did he score the winning goal, but he was absolutely magnificent at the heart of the defence.
He's had a good week.
He's had a terrific week. He's had a terrific season. He's playing really well.
Yeah. We'll look at it again.
Played a captain's part.
We could reflect that it was dead ball movement and aerial power that won an English game, as it were.
He stole up late, didn't he?
It's surprised by Tottenham because they're very well organised at set pieces. Tony comes in late, nobody's picking him up. And it's virtually a simple header from 6 yards out. And the goalkeeper's got no chance at all.
No goal from open play in the whole of the 90 minutes.
Look, he's on the edge of the box here. And he just arrives late, and that's actually a good ball in. And obviously he's delighted to score the goal.
Who had been picking him up before that in those situations?
Probably Ruddock.
Yeah.
Ruddock would probably pick him up with the back post, but
he couldn't pick both of them up.
Yeah, there was a lengthy stoppage, and I think that affected Tottenham. Yeah. You know, affected their discipline, their organisation, and obviously they paid for it.
We were hoping that we might see Barnby a little earlier. It doesn't seem to be an awful lot of point in bringing a player like him on with, what, 5 or 6 minutes to go.
It's a tall order, really.
It
was when Hector was brought on. If you remember when England went out of the World Cup that time with just 6 minutes to go, I think. It is a long time, but it stays in my memory because it was a time when England didn't qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah. It's hard to get into a game when you come on as a substitute at any time. Yeah. But, you know, 10 minutes to go, very, very difficult.
Yeah. One wonders why Spurs didn't reproduce what we expected them to reproduce in the second half. There should have been more space, they had the more experienced players, and yet Arsenal took over the game in that period.
I think they got to grips with Anderton a bit in the second half.
Yes, he faded out of the game at that time. Despite his supposed stamina, he didn't seem to be able to get in it.
And Naeem was disappointed as well, wasn't he?
Yes,
we said Naeem before the start.
Got them all late way this far, and they're not very special today.
He's a bit disappointing. And they took Samwise off, who was one of the better players.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. I hope you've enjoyed our football coverage here this morning and this afternoon, the semi-final. So it's Arsenal against Sheffield Wednesday. They meet first in that Coca-Cola Cup. Now, we've got some highlights of it for you tonight, if you just came in just now. And we've also got the league match, Forest against Aston Villa. That's at 7 o'clock, BBC 2 tonight. If you haven't had enough football, we'll see you then.